to this amazing event. I am very pleased to be your host for this evening. I am Haytham, consultant at Maltem Africa, as lead DevOps and expert backend. And I am very pleased, as I say, to be your host during this evening. So this meetup is all about technology, coding, and learning new stuff. So we thank very much Saham Factory for hosting this event and allowing us to gather here tonight. So for the subject of this evening, we will be talking about React development, Gatsby, FaunaDB, and ZEIT community. We have our experts that will talk about all these subjects. I will start with Ismail Ghalou, which is a full stack developer at Maltem Africa. We have Rida Qadir, our CTO at Maltem Africa. Amin Ananoush, full stack developer and team leader at Maltem Africa. And streaming live from Belgium, we have and representing FaunaDB, we have Brett. So welcome everyone. So any React developers here tonight with us? React? That's good. Actually, there's a study that says that developers are welcome. Bien sûr, oui. As I said, there's a recent study that shows that developers are actually living longer than normal human beings. We are just tending to more willing to that. Because, oh, my code doesn't work, I want to die. 2 minutes later, oh, life's good, my code works. Why? So, in this meeting, we will be talking about React development, as I said. We will start by a video sent from ZEIT CEO, who is very sorry not being with us today, but he sent a video that will stream right away. After that, Ismail will talk about Gatsby development, and we will have Brett, who will be streaming live from Belgium, talking about FaunaDB, how we will implement it in our code. And finally, our two superheroes, Rida and Amin, will talk about deploying our applications in Node. So we will start with the video sent from ZEIT CEO.
Okay.
Hello everyone attending the first ZEIT meetup in Morocco. I'm really excited for you guys to be doing this today. I'm sad that I couldn't be there in person, but on the other hand, I'm really excited that this happened. And I'll explain quickly. I was on Twitter one day and I saw this guy, Ismail, who seemed to really know what he was talking about. I didn't know where he was from, and we decided to start chatting. That led to a great feedback session where he inspired a lot of improvements and new features on our platform and our products. We got in touch and we decided, hey, like, why don't you get other people that are like-minded? Why don't you get other people like you interested in our products and services? And that led to today's meetup. So thank you a lot all for attending, and thank you to Ismail for being the pioneer of this incredible opportunity. And when I think about what are the main themes on my mind today, and what are the opportunities that are unique to Morocco and to this community that we're starting, I think about primarily two things. One of them, obviously, is that remote work is obviously taking over the world. And the opportunity for this direct connection where you learn about our technologies, you learn about what we're doing immediately. Even though I'm here in California, you guys are next to the Mediterranean Sea. The information and practices and technologies and products travel so fast.
Sorry to interrupt, because there is a little issue and people around the world are not watching this. So 1 second.
I'm excited about the equality of opportunity that it's creating for everyone in the world. And the second thing, when I think about Jamstack, when I think about Next.js, when I think about writing code in JavaScript, deploying it immediately to everywhere in the world, just making your apps and your websites accessible instantly, thanks to the things that we're building together. I think about just a massive opportunity that's ahead of us. So this is a small meetup, it's a small movement, but when you think about the broad opportunity, I was reading yesterday on Twitter, there's 10.7 million JavaScript developers today, and this person was sharing this figure, was also comparing it to there's 500 to 750 million Excel developers or Microsoft Excel users. And I think it just made me realize, okay, this is a concrete reference of how much further technologies like JS can go. I personally think that we're making them extremely accessible to everyone in the world, thanks to frameworks like Next.js, thanks to technologies like Code Sandbox and everything that just makes JS so easy to share and learn. And the opportunity ahead we're pioneers, I think, in a way. Like, we are the ones that are at the forefront of this, you and me. We know things, we're starting a little earlier than everyone else. I think there's just hundreds of millions more developers that are going to join us. And I think that's exciting, not only for companies, not only for open source, but also entire communities and countries. So for everyone that, is just getting started or looking for their next big opportunity, I think this is the places and these are the communities where they're going to find their way in. This is where you can go back and share the videos of what you've learned and taught today. This is really where it all starts. This is how you get more people interested. This is how, obviously, you deploy what you create and you share it with a hyperlink anywhere in the world. So keep sharing, keep learning, keep distributing these awesome ideas and keep creating your own. And yeah, I'll be online, obviously, excited about what you guys do. Please share everything with me. As I said, this is an open conversation that luckily Ismail started, and I think you all will continue. Send you a big hug and thank you.
So thank you for ZEIT CEO, who is once again sorry for not being with us. And I just want to tell you that the objective today is not really to just learn new things and new code, but the real objective is to maintain this developers community, that we make our voice heard over the world, that yes, we exist, a community of super developers who will contribute one day to change the world and make it better. So without any more details, I will let you with Mr. Ismail, who will talk about Gatsby, and we'll show you a demo after that. So cheer with me up, Mr. Ismail Ghalou.
Welcome everyone, thanks for being here, and let's get into it. First of all, I will be talking about Gatsby. It's a modern web framework for building blazing fast web apps and static websites. It's built with Webpack, React, and GraphQL. Who am I? I'm Ismail Ghalou, also known on the web as Smakosh. I work as a full-stack JavaScript developer at Maltem, Africa. I also work on side projects like AI hashtags and Beef, which I recently shut down. I publish articles on my personal blog, smakosh.com blog, and I contribute to open source whenever I feel free and whenever I have time. I have contributed to Gatsby itself by making a source plugin called the Gatsby Source Dribble, and I have many starters that make it easy for you to build websites with Gatsby. As a web developer who wants to make a website or a web app, you're surrounded by so many choices, resources, and communities. There is Angular, Vue.js, Django, etc. But do you know what all these resources share in common when you are trying to build a web app? Yep, that's right. It's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, because that's the only things that the browser can render. So what if you could just use JavaScript for everything? Would you really bother exploring the other options? Or you're just like me and have already bet on JavaScript? Hopefully you bet on JavaScript as I did, and if you did that, the choices will be narrowed down until you end up with only the tools that will be used to build the websites or web apps. And because we are not trying to build an API or any server-side thing, and especially as a React developer, you will end up with these three choices: Creatrix app, Next.js, and Gatsby.js. So Creatrix app offers client-side rendering, meaning that the content is rendered by the browser. Next.js offers server-side rendering, meaning that when you enter to a specific page, the whole content is rendered from the server. And if you are using Gatsby.js, it offers static SSR, which means server-side rendering during build time. So what is Gatsby? Before I explain what is Gatsby, has anyone here used Gatsby before? Nice. Has anyone contributed to Gatsby here? Okay. Good luck with that in the future. So is it an SSG? SSG stands for Static Site Generator, like Jekyll, Hugo, Pelican. Is it a React boilerplate like Creatrix app, or is it a tool to build progressive web apps? Well, Gatsby can do all of that. It is a modern framework to build blazing fast web apps and websites. It creates hybrid websites. Think of it as a mixture of a static website and a single page app. Because first of all, it generates HTML pages during build time. Secondly, it navigates between each page using push state, just like a single page app. What's awesome about it? You can build your static website or dynamic app with Gatsby. You can use different data sources to get content from, like WordPress, Contentful, etc. And you can also implement services like Auth0, Stripe, etc. instantly. Of course, it is a technology and it has pros and cons. So the pros are it's secured as it's static, it's cacheable, it's cheap to host, even free using ZEIT now, and out of the box good performance, progressive web app, and best practices. And of course it loads blazing fast. The only cons are no SSR, but I think they are planning to add that, and the build time is slow, especially when you are trying to generate more than 1,000 pages. Because Gatsby has a GraphQL API, a GraphQL internal API, you can write GraphQL queries within it. And there are two types. There is page queries that can be used only on templates. Templates are a specific type of React components within Gatsby. For example, here this is a page query. We are trying to pass an argument called slug of type string to a field called markdown remark. And we're trying to check if that argument equals the same value of that field. Then we are returning this data. At the end, we are trying to consume the data passed as props to that component, as you can see here. There will be a live demo at the end. The second type of queries are called static queries, and they can be used anywhere. There is an example of a static query. So we are importing use static query from Gatsby, and also GraphQL we are importing it from Gatsby. And this is our static query. As you can see, it doesn't accept any variable. And we are consuming the data we got from that query. Gatsby has React components, but it has three types of React components. There are templates, pages, and components. Page queries do accept variables via an object called page context within a file called Gatsby config. I will get to that on the live demo. And page queries can only be added to page and template components. Meanwhile, static queries do not accept variables, but they can be written anywhere in the three types of components. Gatsby plugins. There are three types of plugins. There is source plugins, transformers, and services. Source plugins are plugins that we use to get data from, like from WordPress, Contentful, etc. You can also get data from your own API, whether it's a REST API or a GraphQL one. Transformers are plugins that transform a specific format to JSON, like from YAML, JSON, Markdown to JSON. And the third type is services, like Auth0, FaunaDB, etc. Gatsby is used by popular corporations like Figma, IBM, Airbnb, Nike, SendGrid, and Ghost. Ghost is a new modern CMS like WordPress. Demo. So let's try. I will try to build Saham events. I will have YAML files, and the data will exist on a single YAML file, and I will try to render that data on our Gatsby site. So if I am stuck or anything, I will ask for your help. So let's start. Can you see? Okay.
Can you zoom in, please?
Okay, sure.
Can you make it a lot bigger?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Can you see now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing to start a new Gatsby project is by typing npx gatsby new and the name of your website. I'm using npx because I don't want to install Gatsby CLI as a global dependency. npx gatsby new, and let's call it Saham events. So now what it's trying to do is to create a boilerplate that has what most developers use when they are trying to build a new Gatsby website. So let's wait. While waiting, let's see the documentation. Okay, I will be using one transformer plugin called the Gatsby YAML transformer. By the way, if you want to learn Gatsby.js, you don't need an online course or anything. You just go to the official documentation and you follow their tutorial. So for example here, I'm trying to use this plugin. It's called Gatsby Transformer YAML. The first thing to do is to install it. Okay, let's wait. Okay, we'll cd into the folder, and I will remove git. Okay, I'm using code Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code to write my code. Is this better? Okay. So the first thing is to install the plugin. While it's installing, I will add it to Gatsby config. Whenever you install a new Gatsby plugin, you have to add it to Gatsby config. I think they added a new feature like that works like React Native autolinker, but you have to type Gatsby link and the name of the plugin. Now we'll do it manually. I will take this one. Yeah, by the way, you also need another plugin called the Gatsby Source File System. This plugin, as you can see, is a source plugin, meaning that it will get a specific format of data and convert it to JSON. But you have to point it to the path of the folder. That's why I have another one here. Let's call it events. Okay, so the next thing to do is to add a new folder called events. It will have one YAML file called events.yaml. So each event will have a title, like this one, ZEIT community meetup. Description. First, ZEIT community meetup in Morocco. I think let's add the state of the event. It's happening now. And let's add more events. The state will, you can use the date as a state, but let's forget that and use just a string for the state. So for example, this meetup is upcoming, so I will use upcoming. And this one already passed. So the first thing to do is I will try to map the list of events. Before doing that, I'd like to run Gatsby so that you can see the content first. This is what we call the build time. It's converting the React component to HTML. Okay, it's live. This is the default starter. We will remove things. Okay, let's remove this. So, because I'm trying to query the data, meaning the events, I will be using their own IDE, GraphQL IDE. It is built within Gatsby. And they even offer this Explorer feature. Let me zoom in. Okay. Here is our events. It's called all events YAML. I will enter into the edges node and take the data I want to return. That's it. If I run my query, you can see the data here. So you can actually take this query, or you can think it's not, yeah. There is another feature called code exporter that lets you easily copy the code if you want. Like this is the static query, so I will use this one. You see, it offers the code. You only click it and place it within your React component. So I will take this one. That's all I need. Do you want me to type it or just paste it? Okay. Here I will deconstruct it and take the events. You can use GraphQL aliases to rename a specific field. I will be importing the use static query hook and GraphQL. Okay. Then I will map the data I'm getting from all events YAML. So it's event map. Before map there is edges. Node. Within node there is the ID, state, title, description. Okay. think that's it. And here are our events. They are already live. Do you want me to create a specific page for each event? Or okay. So when you want to to generate pages from data, you need to stop the server and relaunch it. So I will stop it and then write the logic, and then I will restart it. To generate pages, you have to do that on GitB node. And you have to use the ES5 import and export, meaning require, yeah, exactly. I will be using path, require path. I will be using one GitB APIs called create pages. I will check the documentation. There are more APIs, but this is the one we are using for now. And here is an example how you use it. It returns, it accepts an object argument, and we can use that data to generate pages. So you have a GraphQL and actions. I will deconstruct this one to get create page. I think it's, yeah, create page. Then I will use try catch. Here the first thing to do is to get the template. Remember I talked about 3 types of React components within GitB. There is template, page, and a normal component. So before I start generating pages from the data, I need a template. So let's start by creating a template. You simply create a new folder, call it template, and you create your first React component as a template. Let's call it event. So this is a normal React component. Let's call it a template. Okay. We will be back to this one later on. Here we will try to import it. So let's copy the documentation. Yep. Let's call it event template. It's within template folder and then event. Then we have to query the data we need. So let's go back to the idea, but before doing that I have to restart the server. So let's use the first one we used on the landing page, this one. Const data. We only need the ID. Or we can use better the title. Normally you have to add a new field called slug or URL, and it will generate a page based on that URL. But we'll go with title, it's fine. But first let's make sure that, yeah, the titles don't have dash. So let's add a new field called slug. Slug. Meetup and Jamstack. Okay. And we have to map through the data returned. I think, yeah. I will not use map because I'm not returning anything, so I will use for each. Let's first see what the data returned. Yeah, it's we have to deconstruct this one. No, it's like so here I will use the action I imported here to create a page based on that slug. Create page. This one accepts. Let's check. It accepts a path, component, and context. That's the context object I talked about before. Path, which is the slug, component, which is the template, and context, which is just the slug. Because the slug is the same field as value, I will use the ES6 syntax. That's it. Let's catch if there is any errors. Okay. Let's go back to the template. So here, what will happen when the website is building? It will create new pages here based on the slug. So normally on the template we have to query that specific data. So let's write our first page query. Take the same one, but here as I talked about during my slides, this one accepts variables, so it accepts a slug variable of type string, then the data. Okay, since we are trying to get one single event, meaning that it should be just event YAML, and it will return only the data without edges. But here it accepts, it has to accept the slug as argument to get that specific data. So let's start here. I forgot the syntax, so let's check. You can use their Explorer instead of checking Stack Overflow. 1 second, let's start the server. There is one error here. Let's provide source. Yeah, there is syntax error. Okay. Oops. Okay. I'm trying to get a single event and check the slug passed on and to show that specific page. So it has to accept arguments, this one. For example, if I search for ZEIT meetup, okay, it's the slug, not the title. Let's see. It's like it will return the title. As you can see, it auto-completes the field. Description, that's it. Yep, you're right. So let's seek this one. And here, instead of passing a static value, we will use the argument we are trying to pass, which is the slug. I think, yeah. That's it. But of course it will crash because there is something wrong within Gatsby node. Okay, let's see. Let's debug together. Okay. Okay, pages. Yeah, the data we are returning. Good catch. Before I run the server, let's pass the data passed from the Bash query to our React component. Let's first console log it to see what it has. Okay. Okay, let's see. First of all, I have to navigate to a specific event page. So let's go back to the landing page and query the slug. Turn the title to become a link. I will be using the link component imported from Gatsby. It accepts one prop too, and we have to specify where it will navigate. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to import it. Yeah. Now we can navigate to event page. I think it will crash, but let's see. Okay. Here is the event data. So it's working. So let's map the data let's show the data we get from the event page. So let's show the event title. We don't need this one. Let's use the constructor. We are trying to get the title and the description. That's it. Title, description, and a link to navigate back to the landing page, back to events. Yep, here is our Saham events Gatsby site, built within 4 minutes or 5. If you want to keep the header, we can come here, use the layout. Yep, there is it. As you can see, the header doesn't re-render. You can build a blog by typing your content on Markdown file or on a CMS. So I will push this to GitHub. It will be open source. Everyone can clone it and contribute if you want to style it because it looks ugly. Yeah. So let's go back to the slides. Before we go back to the slides, let's deploy this live using ZEIT now to see the power of ZEIT now. So our website is done. I want to deploy it. Normally, you will build it, use the FTP protocol, etc. But nowadays, You just type no. That's it. And the website will be deployed and served on a random URL. This one. And you can see the logs of the building. And that's it. The build time is 11 seconds. And the website is live. Anyone can access it if they want. Let's go back to the slides. And that's it. Thanks everyone. And if you have any questions or anything.
Thank you, Ismail, for your presentation. And as you saw, with just one keyword, we managed to deploy our application. So, any questions for Ismail?
Yeah, if you have any questions, ask me about it. Yeah, sure.
Thank you for your work. We use Next.js in our company, but I want to know the difference between Next.js and Gatsby. I know for sure that Gatsby it's for sure for static.
Static SSR. Yeah.
And we have so many dynamic pages, and I want to know if it's a good solution for us, or we will just stick with Next.js.
Yeah, so for the people who are live, the guy is asking, he has a product which is built using Next.js, and many pages are dynamic, and he's asking me if it's a good approach to switch to Gatsby.js. So my utopian solution is to use a 50-50 approach, meaning that the pages that get more traffic can be generated and become static, but the pages that are less visited can be server-side rendered, because we all know that the server-side rendered pages are slower than static SSR pages. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, any other questions?
Yeah, sure.
So thank you for your talk.
Yeah, sure.
Very exciting. I saw that there is a very interesting use case for Gatsby. So with the new Netlify function, so to manage dynamic content, what people usually do with the markdown MDX, they make a webhook in Netlify function, and then they run the build function whenever there is new content. How is this, in your opinion, will scale for large documents?
As I mentioned on the pros of Gatsby.js, it's not really scalable, because there will be many pages to be generated, which will make the build time more slow. But I think 1,000 pages will do fine.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay,
any more
thank you.
questions? Okay, let's move on to.
Okay, thank you very much, Ismail, for your talk. And we will move on with a live stream from Brett. He's directly from Belgium. Is he?
Yeah, I will try to call him, and he will present the next
perfect.
talk. Yeah.
So can we call him right now?
Yeah, you can take a break while we set up things.
Okay, talk with each other. Anyways, please leave the room. So, as I said, is there how many new users to Gatsby here? Newbies to Gatsby? Never heard of Gatsby? Who uses Gatsby? Come on. Who uses Gatsby? To develop. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So the others are new to Gatsby. That's right. So any newbies to Gatsby? Raise your hands, please. That's perfect. So did you
Hey,
see the
Brat.
difference?
It's,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Do you see the difference between using Gatsby and using other React components or Next.js or etc.? No feedback?
Not yet.
Nothing. Okay.
I said not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
You see no opportunity, new opportunities.
No.
Hey, Brat, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, sure. 1 minute while we set up things.
Okay,
Yes.
So as I said, I don't know.
I can hear you.
Features
Yeah.
that will come up with Gatsby because I'm working with
Okay.
JS and Node.js in the backend and Java in the backend also. But for me, I don't know what's the main feature that will come up in the future to work with Gatsby because I think React.js, they are working on a framework right now in the future. So it will come with all the features that come up with Gatsby in that moment. So why I'm gonna learn a new feature like Gatsby right now?
So Ismail, did you hear the question?
Can you repeat it?
Okay. Rapidly, why using Gatsby and not React.js? Because the React community are working on new features that will take over Gatsby.
Gatsby.js is React.js. I think you
Yeah,
mean
yeah, I know.
why not using Creatrix app?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Creatrix app is a boilerplate for building MVPs and not to build something that can receive more traffic. And you have to care about SEO and more stuff.
Yeah, because but React.js we can also add new libraries that can take over the SEO also. So
But let's imagine this use case. You're trying to build an events website with a lot of data. Do you prefer to have the events pages generated during build time or to dynamically send requests to your server?
for me, will generate it is better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it makes more sense.
it's more permission.
Yeah.
It's okay. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but we can keep this conversation for later because there's a buffet. We can speak and exchange all information. I'm so sorry, we are running out of time. So Brett, hello.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
already see me?
How are you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good.
Great,
How
thank
are
you. Great, thank you. So I will leave the stage for you. You can present FaunaDB for all the audience. They are here and they are yours. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Then I should actually go back just a second. Because apparently I was already at the end of the slides. That's not good, right? Sorry about that.
Take your time, Bert.
Ah. Where did my window suddenly go? There it is. Okay. Okay. There we go. And then just scale this window. I've never done this with actually only sharing a part of my window, so that's what's going wrong at the moment. But it's coming together. So we just had a great presentation with some awesome live coding. I'm impressed that you dare to code that much live. I will also code a bit more live, but way less than that. So basically I will talk about how to bring your data to life with FaunaDB. So we've seen how Gatsby allowed you to build websites which are then statically generated. So what happens if you want to build very, very dynamic apps with lots of pages, with filtering and everything? So we're going to talk about serverless apps with dynamic data and still having the zero configuration of that you actually get by deploying to ZEIT. So let's get started. First of all, who am I? I'm just a developer, just like you guys. So I've been a researcher assistant at university. I did some consultancy. I've been in a startup where I came across a lot of databases, and basically there I found my love for FanaDB. So currently I work there, and I do basically things like this and try to write educational material to actually get you guys started. One side note, I'm already only there for like a month and a half. So Fana is still new for me as well, but I already knew it before, so that should be fine. In my free time, I do a lot of silly stuff, basically. So a lot of fantasy stuff. I play Viking, play a Dark Elf, or play guitar as a Dark Elf. Why not? And I sing, so basically that's cool today because I can actually use my microphone for other things than singing. Finally, I can use it in my work as well. But back to the serious stuff. So why are we here today? Well, we believe that the Moroccan community is growing rapidly. There are a lot of applications that's been built from there. And as has been said before, you guys are pioneers. And I think you're all interested in learning what new technologies are out there that can actually help you. And part of that is thanks to Maltem Africa and Digital Factory of Saham Insurance, who are organizing this event, so thanks that we can be here. But basically, FanaDB is building a database of the future. So if you're pioneers, I think it's very important to learn about upcoming technologies, and FanaDB is definitely one of them that is going to play a big role in the future. It has been built by ex-Twitter engineers who helped scale Twitter. So all their experience with having problems with databases at that time has been put together to actually build FanaDB. So what is FanaDB? We're going to keep it simple here on this slide because I'm still going to explain later on, so I don't want to spoil everything. So it's a distributed database which has a certain amount of features, and these features are, very shortly, always consistent, always secure, global low latency. We have a native GraphQL layer, so for those who love GraphQL, and zero operations. Did anyone here actually ever work with FanaDB?
Yeah, there is one on the left side, but you can see.
Okay.
Yeah.
And any other databases? Do you actually work with other databases together with a Jamstack application?
Which database do you use when building Jamstack websites? Most are using MongoDB.
Okay, cool. So basically, we're going just to check why static websites are awesomely fast and why we can actually provide it for dynamic data as well. So most of you probably heard about content distribution networks, so CDN. He explained in the previous presentation that he just deployed it to Now, and then the static website, the statically generated website was there. Now why is that fast? If you're actually opening a front end from Brussels in this case, and you will also be served by one of those nodes from Brussels. So what you're seeing is the map of ZEIT with all the different locations. So that's going to be 20 milliseconds, which is a great user experience. But basically, if you love this low latency, you love the zero configuration, and basically therefore you love the Jamstack approach, what are you going to do if your data is dynamic? So imagine we're going to build an application, and it's a social network for professionals. So you have all these profiles, a lot of users on your network, and you want to do something like searching for an employee. You want to order them by profile. You want to order them by name. You want to paginate them because there are so many. You're successful, so basically you want to paginate them. Basically, it's a problem because you can't statically generate everything, and in that case, you probably need a database. So problem is, when you start with the database, a lot of people think, okay, will I lose my zero configuration? Well, not with FalaDB, so you don't have to think about servers, you don't have to think about write-ups. Basically, all you have to do, I'm going to move this window a little bit. You log in dashboard.fala.com, you go to DB overview, here, and that's the first thing you see. You see amount of databases, so it's actually, I have actually this 8 or 9 databases here, and you can create as many as you want. The only thing you have to do is like press new database. I'll have sample app 6, and now I'm in a database, and what's interesting, I'll zoom maybe a little bit, is that you now have child databases, so you can actually just say, okay, I'll make a database in a database, why not? And you could say, okay, this is my staging database, right? And you go back to the previous one, make another one, and I have a production database as well. And you could actually go quite far. There's not really a limit in the amount of databases you can have here. I could say testing, go to that testing database, I'm actually already in it now, and then say, okay, test suite 1. So imagine your unit test, or your integration test rather, don't run fast enough, you can just create databases to start doing a specific database per test suite, for example. So how do you actually get started with that? So we don't have data, we don't have a schema or anything in there, we don't have any collection yet. So imagine we make a database from scratch. I'm going to restart now, sample app 7. So we created a lot of databases right now. Basically we have a GraphQL layer. So you can, one of the ways to get started is just import GraphQL. So imagine this schema. You can probably read that, right? It's a very, very simple GraphQL schema. That's not what I wanted to move. Imagine this. Okay. The only thing we have to actually do is import this. And basically now we have a GraphQL endpoint. What is very annoying at the moment is that I can't really move windows very well when I do this. Okay. And basically after that, you have everything set up and you can just write a query. In this case, we're going to get pages of profiles. So in our schema, we had profiles, users, and we had the all profiles query. So we can start querying. Of course, we have no data because we didn't add data yet, but we can already query. Once we want to add data, we go to collections and we see that actually, by importing a schema, we just got a profile and a user collection. And we even got more. There's already an index created, all profiles, which we automatically create because there was an all profile query in the schema. And we're going to automatically create the indexes to make that efficient. So if we would now make a new document, let's say we're going to add some random data. We have a profile Mary. Mary knows everything, so she knows a lot of languages. Actually, she can know a lot more languages than that, but it would be too much to write. So, and if you say that, then we have a document. If we go back to the query, we just have a GraphQL query that can be queried dynamically. We can have very complex GraphQL schemas, so there's no limit there. So basically, there is actually there's also zero configuration. You don't have to think about servers. You don't have to think about, I'm going to provide so many read operation or write operation. It just works. You just log in and you make your database and you get started. Besides the zero configuration, what does it take to make Jamstack plus a database actually work together in harmony? We believe that it's 6 properties that the database needs. So let's define these 6 properties quickly. Since this is theory, I'm going to very quickly go over that. The first one is connectionless. Does anyone know what that means? So in a traditional database like Postgres, MySQL, you need to make a connection when you start querying your database. So you first make a connection, then you can query it. Our database is connectionless. That means it's just an API. Either it's a GraphQL API, or you can access it with FQL, which is the Fauna query language, but you don't need to make that connection in advance. Why is it important? Because these connections are often limited. And once you start accessing the database straight from the front end, which you can do with FaunaDB, or from a serverless function, you might run into problems because there are not enough connections. So basically that's it. And there's a flexible security layer. So I mentioned that you can query directly from the front end. The only reason why you can do that is actually because we have a very extensive security layer that you can write your security rules, and it's actually still secure to access data from the front end. But I'll show you an example with live coding at the end. So basically those two together makes it front end friendly. And what you can do with that is, if you have your standard setup, standard architecture, you have database, a backend, and a front end, what you can actually do is eliminate the backend if you want. You can always use serverless functions as well. There might be a reason, there are often valid reasons, but in this case, in many cases, actually, you can just eliminate the backend. So basically, that makes that your database latency plus the backend latency only becomes the database latency. So it's going to be much faster. So will I lose my latency advantages? No, because of that. And because we also had that box there with saying global low latency. What does that mean? Well, we also have auto-scaling and distributed and globally replicated. That means we are like that CDN, we are everywhere. So basically, that will provide you with an even lower latency. So basically, it goes down even more. Because we are also, just like ZEIT, on multiple locations, and when I created that database just before, automatically it's everywhere. So your data will be served from the closest location. And then there's like pay as you go, so you don't pay in advance, you pay only for the queries you do. So every query you do gets a specific price depending on how complex the query is, and we have a free tier that you actually can get started developing without paying. And then there's consistency. Did anyone here ever work with an eventual consistent database and notice the problems?
It's a yes. I think nobody here did that.
He's offline.
He's good.
Hi guys. What, was I away for a long time or not?
You asked the question of consistency.
Yeah, okay, cool. What was the answer?
Nobody here ran into that problem.
Okay, so the reason why you don't run into that quickly is because when your application is just getting started, you don't have that many users, you can just make one node. You won't have any problems with that, but once your application is popular, so imagine you're in a startup and that startup really gets famous, people in all over the world are starting to use it, then of course there will be a problem with that one node, because people in Europe, if your application might be hosted in America, will get high latencies. And then you want your database to be in multiple locations. Once you have a lot of transactions that happen, things might go seriously wrong. So you might lose data, and there are a lot of war stories on many databases where people lost all their data or lost very significant data. And other things that are not evident is, if you write something, you expect that if you read it, that you get the data back, right?
Yeah.
And actually in many databases that is not the case, which is eventual consistency. And you will have to code around it. So basically, in the beginning, everything looks fine. Unicorns on first sight, you start from working with them, everything looks fine. And then, basically, when you actually get successful, there are dragons behind the scenes, and those problems are not the problems you want to fix when your application is growing. Many users, you will have your hands full. So basically, that has caused problems for many startups. The people who started this database worked at Twitter, so they have experienced it firsthand. But yeah, often you don't see it until it's too late. We provide something that's always consistent. As basically, we have certain guarantees that your database, if you're adding something in Europe, then it will also be immediately available in America or in any other part of the world, right? So if you write something in the database, everywhere around the world, it's the same data. So we believe that Fana is currently the only one that has all these properties. And if you're going to write an application that scales well, which you typically want to do with Jamstack, then you should definitely consider to check it out. I was talking a lot about the security. So we're going to show you an example. I've built a small application where you can just have a home page with the profiles, and you have a login register page. This is completely from the front end, so there is no backend, there is no serverless function at all. If we go to the home button here, there's no results. So why is that? Because at this point, the security rules by default block everything. So we're not logged in yet, so it's pretty logical. We can say, okay, I log in because I already registered with the user, login is successful, then we go home, but there's still no results. I'm just going to quickly explain what happened with the login. So I said that we query directly from the front end. So imagine you have like this Fana query language that you send from the front end. How does it work? How is it secure? For that, we have something. So we have this user Mary that we created. I just plugged in with it. What is actually happening behind the scenes? What I didn't tell you when we created Mary in the new database that I showed is that you can actually add something else to that data. You can add something called credentials and passwords in the credentials object. This is a specific object which is so if you write credentials passwords, then FanaDB knows that is a credential and a password. So it's something Fana recognizes, and it's going to allow you to log in and impersonate that object that you just created. So in this case, we created an employee, and what you can then do is use the login function of Fana, and when you use the right password there, you basically get a token. And with that token, you can actually start querying. So basically, you have FanaDB. From the front end, you can actually say, okay, we log in, and basically you start querying with that token. But of course, that's not everything. So we go back to our application. We are actually logged in. I tried it before. But why is it that we don't get data yet? Well, basically, we can write very, very complex security rules if we want, so we can secure our complete application. And we can also do the same, by the way, with GraphQL. So I'm going to go to the database that I'm using for this one. We go to security. There are roles in there, and these are just to bootstrap the login process, the ones you see here. I'm not going to go into details with these, but the application that you see is being built at the moment, so it's not done yet. It's going to be posted in January, so you can check the code afterwards. Now we're going to create one. So let's say users can access profiles, because Mary is a user, when we're logged in with that user. What we say then is that this rule only applies if you're a user, so you can see that I could actually log in with profiles or with users, so it doesn't really matter. You can log in with any entity in the database, so as long as it has the credentials and a password field. So in this case, we're going to take users, and now we're saying just, okay, this rule applies when it's a user. Okay. If this rule applies when it's a user, what can the user do? Well, it can read profiles, and it will use the index all profiles, so it can read that one as well. If we press save now, we go back. suddenly we have users. We have profiles, so we can now see them. And the cool thing about this is that you can actually do way more complex things without you having to write a complete security layer. So what I didn't say is this read that we just enabled here. This can be something more complex. It can be code. So what we can actually write here is a function, which is, this is actually Fauna query language syntax. And we could say that function always takes a parameter. In a read, it always takes a parameter. And then we go, if this function actually returns true, then it's allowed to actually read the profile. So we're working in profiles. We're defining whether a profile can be read by a user or not. So what we're going to do is just say, okay, and this is the most important function, the identity, and that's actually the person you logged in with, or the entity you logged in with. In this case, that's Mary, the user. And that user actually has to be the same. This is just getting data from a nested property. The same as the reference, and reference is actually the data we're trying to read. So these are all the profiles that are passing through there. Actually, the user ID from the profile has to be the same as the user we're logged in with. So if we save this, we will see that actually Mary can only see herself. And I'll quickly show another one. So we can really do very, very complex stuff with that. So I'm just going to paste this one, but I don't know how much time I took already. So here we say, okay, the profile that we read can only be read, so we're actually not using the reference here. We're just going to say the person who reads it has to be an admin. And if that's true, then he can read it. We're going back to the application, and actually there's nothing. That is normal, because Mary does not have that Boolean admin. But if we would edit now, there we go. And actually, I would say stay tuned, because we also wrote a very complex application which we're probably going to release the source code from in a blog post in the next months, which is basically a complete geo game where we have very complex rules, as in we can only see the animals that are in 100 meters around you, which is very complex in terms of calculations. And even that we cannot express in our security rules. And also that one is possible to write without a backend. So you get all your data all the time from the closest location. The other application that I just showed will also be released in the coming months. So in the meantime, feel free to try Fauna. It has a very generous free tier, so you can get started for free. Or join our community Slack if you have questions. We're quite responsive. Even our CEO and CTO sometimes answers questions there. I'm Brecht at Databrecht at Twitter, so if you want to follow up on those applications that we're writing, feel free to check and follow me. Are there any questions?
Any questions from Frank?
I have one quick question. Can you use, can you query FaunaDB directly from the front end?
Yes, you can query the database directly from the front end, and that is done with what I explained here. There's yep, this here. So from the moment you add credentials and a password to an entity in the database, you can then use the Fauna function login to check whether the credentials that you entered match. You get a token, and then with that token you can continue actually querying from the front end.
Nice. Okay, so thank you, Prax. Yes, there's another question.
Yeah, there are more questions.
Is for a real-time database?
So is FaunaDB a real-time database?
You mean real time as in that you can get updates?
Yes.
Like Firebase.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we will be very soon. We're actually working on that feature, and in the meantime, what I didn't tell you is that Fauna has versioning. So basically, I'll show you here, is that from the moment you make a collection, you can say, these are the amount of history days you want to keep data. So basically, every update you do to, so let's say we rename Mary, then all the older versions of the user Mary will still exist. We can say, actually, I'm just making sure that I don't lie here, clearing the fields. Yeah, if you remove it completely, then everything you put in that collection will just have versions eternally. And what you can do is just say, give me the last thing that changed, so you can actually query for the history of a collection or of a document. And we will use it very soon to actually implement a real-time API where you can push your information to the user. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
No more questions? Yes, another question?
How secure my data I use in this service?
So how secure is the data?
How secure is the data? I think that's a question for our engineers, and because it's been answered recently, but I don't know the answer. Are you wondering how secure the encryption is at rest?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they actually, I can't tell you exactly what algorithm we use. They answered it in our community channel, but I don't recall by heart. In every case, what I can tell you is that if you use credentials or passwords, it's encrypted as well. So it's not only encrypted as in the data is encrypted, it is encrypted because it's a password on top of that. So.
Okay, thank you very much. We saw that FaunaDB is a revolution database, and we won't need the backend not anymore. So as a backend developer, I say thank you for making me jobless.
I should say there are always small reasons, of course, to use the backend, but then you can of course use a serverless function from ZEIT, and you can do the rest directly with the front-end. So you will get low latencies, and then the things you really need a backend for, you can just still write the serverless
Yes,
function.
sure. Thank you very much, and you can always watch us on the live stream on YouTube. So thank you for your intervention. You have been really great. We thank you from the heart, and that's it. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Okay, so we will advance to the last talk. Actually, our superheroes will come. There's our CTO Reda Qadir and our team leader Amin and Anush, who will talk about React hooks, about FaunaDB and serverless and ZEIT functions. So please cheer with me up the two superheroes, Amin and Reda. And before they start, on va tourner un peu la roue en français, parce que Amin va parler français. On n'avait rien compris. Alors, en fait, on va commencer avec la présentation d'Amin, et par la suite, on va continuer avec Reda. Et enfin, il y aura une démo et une petite surprise. Donc, restez avec nous et ça commence. La scène est à vous.
Bonsoir tout le monde, je vous souhaite la bienvenue une autre fois. On va parler de React Hooks. Maintenant, l'actualité de React, la nouveauté c'est le suspense et le fetch data, suspense data. Mais on ne va pas parler de ça parce que actuellement c'est en mode expérimental. Donc du coup on va parler de React Hooks. La chose qui est maintenant stable, et que beaucoup de gens veulent migrer de la méthode classique avec les classes vers les hooks. Donc la première chose, je ne sais pas, est-ce que tout le monde là travaille avec React ou pas? Qui a déjà utilisé les hooks? Ok. Donc du coup, on va parler de les hooks. C'est quoi les hooks? Donc les hooks, ce sont des fonctions simples qu'on peut utiliser, des fonctions ordinaires, mais des fonctions qu'on va utiliser avec les stateless components. Maintenant, on n'a plus la notion de stateless components, mais on a des composants fonctionnels. On parle maintenant de functional components parce qu'on utilise les hooks au sein des stateless components. C'est l'ancienne notion des composants. On a une fonction qui retourne, par exemple, une liste ou bien quelque chose comme ça. Un composant, on gère rien, on gère pas les états, on gère pas le cycle de vie des composants. Donc du coup, là, on parle de stateless components. Mais on a la méthode classique, les class components. Au niveau des class components, on a la notion de state, on gère le state. On a la notion de cycle de vie d'un composant, on gère le cycle de vie d'un composant pour bien gérer notre component. Donc là, on va voir les hooks de base, les hooks qu'on va vraiment voir dans n'importe quel projet. On a ces 4 hooks là, mais précisément on a les use state et la use effect qu'on utilise souvent. Donc on va commencer et après on va parler un peu sur des hooks supplémentaires, la use callback, la use memo et la use ref. Donc du coup on va commencer par la use state. Donc à l'ancienne méthode on utilise les classes. Donc au niveau des classes on avait la set state pour gérer les states et pour modifier un état d'un composant. Maintenant, avec la notion des hooks, on a la useState, une fonction qu'on implémente et qu'on va utiliser au sein d'un composant. On va voir des exemples comme ça, on peut voir à quoi sert et à quoi ressemble la useState, l'utilisation de la useState. Donc au niveau d'utilisation, c'est simple et basique. On a la fonction useState. Elle prend comme argument un état initial. On initialise notre state. Il nous retourne un tableau de deux variables. La première, c'est la state. C'est là on va trouver la valeur de notre état, si on veut l'afficher ou bien la gérer quelque part. On a la deuxième valeur, c'est la set state. La set state, c'est la fonction qui va nous permettre de modifier notre state. Donc, durant toute cette présentation-là, on va se baser sur ces exemples-là. On a 2 inputs, un first name et un last name. Et on va remplir ces 2 inputs. Donc là, on a 2 exemples. Comme vous pouvez constater, on a le premier screenshot, c'est la méthode classique en utilisant les classes. Donc en utilisant les classes, on doit toujours extendre notre classe de la classe component de React. Donc du coup, on doit initialiser notre state au sein du constructeur. Et on doit utiliser super pour faire appel au constructeur de la classe component qu'on a implémenté au niveau de notre classe. Sinon, pour gérer notre state, on doit absolument faire appel à cette 10.setState pour par exemple dans le premier cas pour entrer la valeur qu'on va taper au niveau de l'input. Donc à chaque fois on change, on va entrer une nouvelle valeur à l'aide de cette 10.setState. Et pour afficher la valeur de notre state, on va tout simplement utiliser 10.state qu'on a et on va préciser le first name, par exemple dans le premier input. Et le deuxième input, c'est la même chose. Mais avec les hooks, on va tout simplement faire appel à la useState de React. Donc on fait appel à notre méthode, à notre fonction. Et là, on va initialiser notre state avec first name et last name. Et on a les deux objets. Les deux variables, c'est la useState et notre fonction, c'est user. Donc du coup, pour modifier notre state, on va utiliser cette user qu'on a déjà définie ici. Donc c'est la set user et on va passer avec le split opérateur pour ne pas perdre les valeurs, les anciennes valeurs, la first name et la last name, et on va écraser la first name. Et pour accéder à la valeur de first name, on va tout simplement utiliser notre state qui a le nom user et on a la valeur de first name. Donc avec les hooks, comme vous pouvez voir et comme vous pouvez constater, c'est que le code c'est plus lisible et c'est plus facile à maintenir qu'avec les classes. Le deuxième avantage, c'est qu'avec les hooks, on n'a pas besoin à chaque fois, React n'a pas besoin d'instancier la classe parce qu'on utilise tout simplement une fonction. Donc à chaque fois, il va faire appel à notre fonction. Mais avec l'ancienne méthode des classes, à chaque fois, il doit instancier la classe. Le troisième avantage des hooks, c'est qu'elle est 100% compatible avec les versions qu'on a maintenant. Donc on n'a pas de breaking changes au niveau de notre code. Mais la seule chose qu'on doit faire, c'est que à chaque fois qu'on veut implémenter les hooks au niveau des anciens composants, on doit faire attention à notre implémentation et surtout avec la use effect parce que dans l'ancienne méthode on a les components will update, on a beaucoup de méthodes de gestion de cycle de vie d'un composant. Donc c'est là où on doit faire attention. Sinon maintenant on va voir la use effect. La use effect c'est pour gérer les side effects et en même temps c'est pour gérer le cycle de vie d'un composant. Donc on va voir un exemple. Voilà l'utilisation de la use effect. On fait appel à la use effect. Elle accepte deux arguments. Le premier c'est le callback qui va s'exécuter à chaque fois qu'on va faire appel à la use effect. Et le deuxième c'est optionnel, mais c'est là où on va conditionner notre appel du callback. On va voir dans l'exemple comment on va utiliser le deuxième argument qui est optionnel. Et on a un return d'une fonction anonyme au sein de notre use effect. Donc ça représente la component will amount au niveau de l'ancienne méthode. C'est la component will amount. C'est quand le composant il va disparaître dans notre DOM. Donc c'est là que ce code va être exécuté. Donc voilà l'exemple de l'utilisation classique et l'utilisation avec les hooks. Dans l'utilisation classique, par exemple, le component demand, c'est l'événement qui va être exécuté quand le composant est prêt à utiliser au niveau de notre DOM. Donc, mais avec les hooks, il suffit d'utiliser la use effect et on précise au deuxième argument qu'on a un tableau vide. Donc quand on précise qu'on a un tableau vide, ça veut dire que ce traitement-là va être exécuté une seule fois. Il ne va pas être exécuté plusieurs fois. Donc du coup, moi je veux changer le titre de ma page. Au début de l'exécution de mon composant, ce traitement-là va être exécuté. On a la component will amount. La component will amount, c'est un événement qui s'exécute à la fin quand un composant n'est plus affiché. Donc à ce moment-là, le traitement qui est au sein de la component will amount va être exécuté. Donc avec les hooks, c'est la même chose, mais c'est plus facile parce qu'on a la première use effect, elle gère les deux à la fois, la component demand et la component will amount. Elle gère les deux à la fois. Donc il suffit de mettre notre traitement au sein de return de la fonction anonyme et on va mettre le traitement qu'on va exécuter quand le composant n'est plus affiché. Et on a la component did update. La component did update dans l'ancienne méthode, c'est pour faire un traitement. Par exemple, moi, je veux un state va être changé. Je veux par exemple faire un appel backend ou bien faire un traitement spécifique, faire quelque chose. Donc, dans l'ancienne méthode, on doit gérer tous les changements qu'on veut faire au niveau du component did update. Le problème avec ça, c'est que à un moment donné, on a un composant, on a beaucoup de traitements, donc on aura beaucoup de conditions, on aura beaucoup de lignes au niveau du même événement, au niveau du component did update. Donc du coup, ça vraiment génère des fois des bugs. Par exemple, moi, si je fais de if, et si j'ai pas bien précisé, ou bien si j'ai pas bien compris les conditions, et si je mets les deux if, à un moment donné, les deux if vont être déclenchés, donc là, j'aurai un bug. Mais avec la use effect, moi, je vais, par exemple, dans le premier cas, je veux quand la first name va être changée, je veux par exemple faire un console log et afficher un message. Avec la use effect, je dois tout simplement mettre au niveau des dependencies, au sein du tableau, je vais mettre la state que je vais listener, que je veux que mon use effect va listener sur cette state, et au moment du changement de cette state, je veux que ce traitement-là va être exécuté. Donc comme ça, on va gérer, si on a par exemple 4 ou bien 5 conditions, j'aurai 5 use effects. Comme ça, au niveau de maintenance, c'est plus facile qu'avec un component did update où j'ai les 5 conditions dans le même code. Donc on va passer à la use reducer. Pour les gens qui ont déjà utilisé Redux, ils sont habitués avec les réducteurs. Donc maintenant avec la version 16.8, où ils ont introduit la use reducer, on a la use reducer nativement, on n'a pas besoin d'implémenter Redux pour utiliser la use reducer. Donc l'utilisation de la use reducer, c'est comme les autres, un hook où on passe en premier argument notre reducer, et au deuxième argument, on initialise notre reducer, c'est l'état initial de notre reducer. Et on a notre state et on a notre dispatcher où on va dispatcher les actions qu'on veut changer au niveau de notre reducer. Voilà, on reprend le même exemple de la first name et last name inputs. Donc on met cette fois avec use reducer. Donc comme vous pouvez constater, on a changé la use state avec use reducer. Et voilà notre reducer, notre fonction. On a state et l'action. Donc moi j'ai deux actions, c'est change first name et change last name. Et les valeurs initiaux de mon reducer, c'est first name et last name avec des chaînes vides. Donc quand je veux changer les valeurs de mon, par exemple de la première, de mon premier input, je vais utiliser dispatch. Et le type de mon action, ça va être change first name. Et je vais passer comme valeur first name, c'est la valeur de mon first name. Donc du coup là, au niveau de mon réducteur, je vais être dans le premier cas. Donc je vais retourner la nouvelle state avec la valeur modifiée de first name. Et en même temps, si je veux par exemple d'accéder à la valeur de mon state, donc j'ai le premier argument qui est state et je vais accéder à n'importe quel état à ce moment-là. Sinon, on va passer à la use context. La use context, c'est au niveau de React, avant la version 16.8, on avait la notion de contexte. Et le problème, c'est qu'on avait provider, consumer, donc c'était un peu difficile à utiliser. Et maintenant avec les hooks, c'est très facile à l'utiliser. La première chose qu'on doit faire, c'est qu'on doit créer notre contexte, avec créer ce contexte. Et la deuxième chose, qu'on veut utiliser, qu'on veut accéder aux valeurs de notre contexte, on n'a qu'à faire appel à la use context, et on va passer à la use context, le contexte qu'on a déjà créé, qu'on a déjà instancié, et on a les valeurs de notre contexte. On va voir un exemple de la gestion d'un thème. On a au niveau de notre thème deux types de thèmes, light et dark. Donc moi je vais créer mon contexte. J'ai l'instance de mon contexte et je vais englober par exemple mon application ou bien les composants que je veux. Au sein de ces composants-là, j'aurai accès à les valeurs qui sont gérées par mon contexte. Moi j'ai un toolbar et au sein de toolbar j'ai un thème bouton et moi je veux accéder à la fin au niveau de thème bouton, je veux accéder à la valeur du contexte. Donc du coup au niveau de thème bouton, je vais faire appel à la use context et je vais passer mon contexte et je vais utiliser le distracteur de l'ES6 pour avoir la valeur de dark. Et je vais accéder directement au background au niveau de dark et le foreground au niveau de dark. Donc là, ça c'est ce qui concerne la use context. Pour les hooks supplémentaires, mais avant de parler sur les hooks supplémentaires, la plupart des librairies qu'on utilise maintenant migrent vers les hooks comme Redux. Maintenant avec les hooks, l'utilisation de Redux avec les hooks, c'est facile. React Router et les autres, donc tout le monde maintenant migre vers les hooks. Et même nous, on peut créer nos propres hooks en utilisant le mot use. C'est vraiment un mot-clé pour créer un hooks. Et au sein de notre hooks, au sein de notre fonction, on peut utiliser la use effect ou bien la use reducer. On peut faire des combinaisons de différents hooks de base ou bien les hooks supplémentaires. Maintenant, on va parler un peu sur les hooks supplémentaires. Donc, on a la use callback et la use memo. Ces deux hooks-là sont vraiment pour des raisons d'optimisation de performance. La use callback qui nous permet de garder la même référence. Par exemple, moi j'ai une fonction, à chaque fois que le composant va être réendré, à chaque fois j'aurai une nouvelle référence de mon composant. Donc au niveau de mémoire, à chaque fois j'aurai une nouvelle référence. Donc la use callback il est utilisé pour ça, pour garder la même référence. Et si on utilise, par exemple, des fois on utilise des fonctions au niveau de la use effect et on passe en dependency la référence de notre fonction qu'on utilise au sein de notre use effect. Là, le problème c'est qu'à chaque fois que le composant va être réendré, à chaque fois la use effect va être exécuté. Le traitement de la use effect va être exécuté. Donc c'est pour cela qu'on utilise la use callback. La use memo, pour les gens qui ont déjà utilisé React Select, c'est la même chose. C'est que, par exemple, moi, je veux faire un calcul, j'ai un tableau, et au niveau de ce tableau-là, j'ai plusieurs prix, par exemple, des produits. Et moi, je veux faire la somme des produits, ou bien un panier. C'est le bon exemple. J'ai un panier, à chaque fois, je vais afficher la somme de mes achats que je vais payer par la suite. Donc la use memo, si par exemple à chaque fois mon composant va être réendré, si on n'utilise pas la use memo, à chaque fois on va faire le calcul. Mais avec la use memo, il va être exécuté lors une seule fois, dans la première fois, mais par la suite si on réendre notre composant, si on n'a rien changé au niveau de notre panier, il ne va pas être exécuté. Donc le calcul va être une seule fois. Sauf si on a changé les produits au niveau de notre panier. Et la use ref, pour les gens qui ont déjà utilisé la ref, maintenant c'est plus facile avec les hooks parce qu'on utilise la use ref pour avoir accès à la référence d'un élément. Par exemple, moi j'ai un input et je veux y avoir la référence de ces inputs là pour accéder aux valeurs au value de l'input, la valeur que j'ai tapée au niveau de mon input. Avec la useRef, il va me retourner une référence. et je peux accéder à la référence de ce input-là n'importe où dans mon composant. Donc maintenant on va faire un petit code que mon collègue Reda va utiliser par la suite. Ok. Donc voilà, un petit code avec Formic qu'on a créé. On va voir comment déployer avec ZEIT.
Vous arrivez à voir? Vous arrivez à voir, non? Si on peut zoomer un peu, s'il vous plaît.
Allez, zoom, c'est malade.
Much better?
Donc c'est un exemple basique avec Formic. On a initialisé les valeurs first name, last name. Au niveau de submit, mon collègue Reda va ajouter d'autres choses. Et on a un formulaire. Mais la chose qu'on veut voir, c'est le déploiement avec la plateforme ZEIT. C'est qu'on peut déployer directement de code sandbox.
By the way, he's using code sandbox instead of using our code editor.
Et voilà, donc on peut déployer directement de code sandbox sans utiliser une application au niveau de notre machine. Donc si quelqu'un un jour veut déployer quelque chose, il est en train de voyager, ou bien je sais pas.
Depuis son smartphone.
Ouais, depuis son smartphone, quelque chose comme ça. Donc déploiement. Sinon, si vous voulez déployer directement de vos machines, la première chose qu'il faut faire, c'est d'être inscrit au niveau de ZEIT. Donc on peut s'inscrire soit via GitHub, soit via GitLab ou bien d'autres moyens email. Et on va installer la dependency globalement de Now. Et après, comme Smail a déjà fait, on peut faire Now. Il va s'occuper du déploiement. Pour moi, c'est tout. Si vous avez des questions, bien.
Voilà, merci beaucoup. Et alors, il y a des questions pour Amine au niveau des hooks. Qui a déjà utilisé les hooks d'abord? Pas tout le monde. Sinon, les gens qui n'ont pas utilisé les hooks, est-ce que vous avez des questions? Tout a été clair?
J'ai une petite question.
Oui.
Regarding the component did catch, is it already provided as a hook or not yet?
Pour le moment, non.
Ah, ok, non.
Sinon, pas d'autres questions? Oui.
Alors, premièrement, on remercie notre ami Amine pour cette belle présentation. Le fait d'utiliser les hooks, il est rendu plus ou moins analogique, c'est plus linéaire, c'est plus clair. Et en plus, on peut extraire la logique de composants pour les custom hooks. Mais ma question ici, c'est quoi l'impact vraiment sur la partie performance?
Ok, sur la partie performance, comme on a dit, c'est avec les classes. À chaque fois, par exemple, si on a 10 composants, par exemple dans notre page, on a 10 composants. Et au niveau de ces 10 composants-là, on doit gérer les states, on doit gérer le life cycle de notre component. Donc du coup, on va utiliser les classes. Donc à chaque fois qu'on va utiliser les classes, ça veut dire qu'à chaque fois on va instancier ces classes-là. pour l'utiliser. Donc ça veut dire qu'à chaque fois, on va ajouter quelque chose au niveau de mémoire. À chaque classe qu'on va instancier, on va ajouter au niveau de mémoire. Mais avec le hooks, on fait appel directement à la fonction. C'est plus facile que les classes. Ça d'une part. D'une autre part, c'est que au niveau des classes, à chaque fois qu'on utilise les classes, ça veut dire qu'à chaque fois qu'on veut faire notre build, à chaque fois on doit transpiler de l'ES6 à l'ES5. Donc avec les hooks, on a une fonction, donc on va passer à une autre fonction. C'est plus facile que avec les classes. Moi, ce que je pense et ce que je vois.
Plus clair là. Merci.
Alors, merci beaucoup Amine pour ton intervention.
Merci.
Et pour l'instant, on va passer, ladies and gentlemen, à notre CTO. Pour la suite, Monsieur Reda Kadir, sous vos applaudissements s'il vous plaît.
Donc, bonsoir. Je vais essayer d'être un peu rapide parce que je sais que c'est un peu tard et on travaille demain. Donc on doit rentrer chez nous. Donc, je vais un peu parler des serverless. Je ne sais pas si vous avez une idée sur serverless, sur les plateformes serverless, si quelqu'un a déjà utilisé des produits, des solutions. Combien de personnes ont déjà utilisé au moins une solution serverless sur... Donc, réellement, serverless, ça ne veut pas dire qu'il n'y a pas de serveur. C'est qu'il y a un serveur, mais il est géré par quelqu'un d'autre. Donc, moi, en tant que développeur, je gère mon code. Soit je clique sur un bouton, soit j'entre une commande et mon code est déployé, géré, scalé horizontalement, verticalement. Je m'en fiche. C'est à lui de gérer mon code. Donc, après, le produit phare des serverless, ça reste les fonctions. Je pense que c'est le premier produit qui a été créé et ça a été initié par AWS à l'époque et après les autres ont suivi. Mais nous, on va parler surtout de serverless function de ZEIT. Pourquoi? Moi, je la trouve très intéressante. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il utilise déjà des multi-cloud. Il utilise à la fois AWS et GCP, le cloud de Google. Donc, on ne dépend pas que d'un seul cloud. Si demain on a des contraintes d'utiliser un des deux, on peut facilement switcher. Et c'est paramétrable. Les fonctions serverless de ZEIT, aujourd'hui, supportent 3 langages. Backend, Node.js, Go, Python. Ils sont plus orientés JavaScript, c'est pour ça qu'ils supportent beaucoup de Node.js. Ils ont mis Python parce qu'il est beaucoup utilisé, surtout aux États-Unis. Et aussi Golang qui est maintenant en train de rattraper Node.js. Ces fonctions serverless sont exécutées over un network. ZEIT Network a plusieurs features. Il donne par défaut des features très intéressantes. Par exemple, il donne la fonctionnalité de caching. Donc, il cache l'exécution de la fonction, ce qui n'existe pas vraiment chez les autres fournisseurs cloud. C'est qu'il cache l'exécution de la fonction au niveau de ce qu'ils appellent leur Smart CDN. Il l'appelle Smart CDN parce qu'en général, CDN, c'est pour déployer des contenus statiques. Alors que là, ils arrivent à exécuter des codes dynamiques au niveau de leur CDN. Après, ils offrent par défaut l'encryption. toutes les communications vers les fonctions sont over HTTPS par défaut. Et ils gèrent eux-mêmes les certificats SSL. Aussi, ils ont la fonctionnalité compression. Ils utilisent deux algorithmes de compression, si je me rappelle. Elles utilisent gzip, qu'on connaît tous, et aussi ils utilisent Brotli. Ils disent que c'est beaucoup plus performant que gzip. Je ne l'ai jamais testé personnellement, mais je vous invite à le tester. Aussi, elle déploie ses fonctions dans différents. Par défaut, il déploie les fonctions, la commande ZEIT Now, il déploie les fonctions globalement, partout dans le monde, dans différents smart CDNs. Par exemple, si on a des contraintes de sécurité, c'est qu'on a des contraintes qui nous disent qu'il ne faut pas déployer notre code ou on ne peut pas passer notre data par un continent ou par un pays. Par exemple, ici au Maroc, on a ces contraintes. Ça reste quand même paramétrable et on peut spécifier à ZEIT où on veut déployer notre fonction. Donc ça a été une présentation rapide des produits serverless de ZEIT. Après, on passe maintenant à la partie coding. Donc, l'idée, c'est de coder quelque chose de fin. On va continuer un peu sur l'application de Anil, qui a un petit formulaire first name, last name. L'idée, c'est de stocker ces informations dans une base de données. On va utiliser la base de données de notre ami de FunaDB. En passant par des fonctions, on va créer des API rapidement et stocker ces informations, appeler une petite fonction qui fait un tirage aléatoire et on va demander à tout le monde de s'inscrire sur le formulaire parce qu'on va le déployer en ligne et celui qui gagnera partira avec un t-shirt de Gatsby.
Un t-shirt, un vrai t-shirt.
Ouais, un vrai t-shirt, édition limitée.
Alors en fait, après le coding, on va vous faire voir le lien vers la page qui sera déployée live et automatiquement. Et tout le monde va s'inscrire pour que par la suite, la fonction random elle va prendre une seule personne pour avoir le t-shirt Gatsby. Un t-shirt vrai. Gatsby.
Ok. Donc là, pour expliquer un peu comment les fonctions, les serverless functions de ZEIT marchent, c'est simple. Il demande à ce qu'on crée un répertoire et qu'on l'appelle API dans notre racine des projets. Ça peut être un Create React App ou Gatsby ou n'importe quel front. Après, à l'intérieur, on met des fonctions avec des noms. Ces noms seront utilisés pour le routage. Ils ont un routage smart qui récupère les fichiers à partir de ce dossier et crée comme une sorte de gateway à leur niveau. Et ces fonctions seront déployées comme des fonctions. Aussi, l'avantage des fonctions, c'est que l'exécution de chaque fonction est démarrée dans une instance séparée. Du coup, on n'a pas cette problématique de perf. Parce qu'on n'impacte pas... donc, ça ne veut pas dire qu'on peut mettre tout ce qu'on veut dans la fonction, parce qu'on serait facturé beaucoup plus cher. Du coup, il faut quand même optimiser notre code. Donc là, par exemple, si on regarde cette fonction subscribe, là, on a juste importé notre dépendance FunaDB. D'ailleurs, on peut même appeler FunaDB depuis notre front. C'est juste pour l'exemple, pour montrer les fonctions ZEIT. On a préféré aussi de les utiliser ici. Pour la connexion, là, on n'a pas de souci par rapport à la sécurité. Là, tout à l'heure, il a expliqué qu'on doit créer un token en passant par une ressource login, après utiliser ce token pour consommer la data via GraphQL. Là, c'est notre backend qui gère notre clé secrète. Donc, on passe par une clé secrète, on a notre client et on écrit notre query. Cette query peut être décréée comme des updates, c'est des CRUD. Donc, la query, ici, on va récupérer l'ensemble. Par exemple, ici, on va créer une collection des participants dans notre événement avec les données qui viennent de notre body de la request. Il n'y a même pas, c'est une mauvaise pratique, d'ailleurs ne faites pas ça en prod. Parce qu'il n'y a ni validation ni rien. Donc on prend la data comme elle vient et on l'injecte dans notre base de données. Aussi, ce qu'il faut que je précise, c'est que tout ça, on a l'accès à FunaDB gratuitement, sans même avoir à saisir une carte bancaire. FunaDB et ZEIT. Donc tout ça, ce qu'on a codé aujourd'hui et qu'on va déployer tout de suite, c'est gratuitement. Donc je trouve que la stack ZEIT, FunaDB, avec un des fronts, soit Gatsby ou Create React App, c'est une stack très intéressante et qu'on peut utiliser pour poker des projets, même pour les startups, pour commencer, parce que ça coûte rien. Donc là, on va juste créer dans notre ADA et on répond avec un code statut de 101 et une référence de notre data créée à la base. Après, on a une autre ressource. Là, pour consommer cette API, il faut juste appeler en post parce que les fonctions ZEIT, elles reconnaissent la méthode de la requête HTTP, soit get au post, put, patch, ainsi de suite. Elles la reconnaissent à partir de ces paramètres qu'on veut récupérer ici. Dès qu'elle voit qu'on essaie de récupérer le body dans notre request, elle sait très bien que soit on a besoin d'utiliser des posts, soit on passe par des posts, ou on passe par des patchs ou des puts. Et bien sûr, on peut quand même mettre une condition ici sur le type de la requête. Après ici, on a une autre ressource qui récupère la liste des participants. C'est simple aussi, c'est une query. L'avantage, ce que je trouve bien avec FunaDB, c'est qu'il offre par défaut tout ce qui est pagination, tout ce qui est recherche, contrairement à d'autres solutions de base de données type document, qui sont un peu compliquées. Là, c'est simple. Aussi, on a une autre fonction qui récupère la liste des participants inscrits, qui prend un aléatoirement pour l'afficher. Donc la consommation de nos API passe par ces composants. Donc, par exemple, pour l'inscription, on a notre formulaire. Et dans notre méthode submit, on récupère les valeurs des formulaires, on les envoie directement à notre ressource /API /subscribe. Donc on n'a rien fait, on a juste consommé notre... Ce qui est dommage, c'est que aujourd'hui ZEIT ne propose pas d'environnement de dev local. Donc il faut quand même déployer ça en ligne et le tester, surtout pour les fonctions. J'espère qu'ils ont dans leur backlog cette fonctionnalité. Après, on a ici la liste des participants qu'on récupère. Comme Amine a expliqué, ici on a utilisé les hooks. On peut quand même faire mieux. On peut créer custom hook qui fait que le fetch de la data et la réutiliser dans notre code. D'ailleurs, c'est parmi les avantages de la version hook, c'est la réutilisation des codes. Après, on a un composant qui affiche un gagnant. Donc là, on va accéder. J'ai besoin d'accéder à la page. Déployée. Non, pas besoin de naviguer. Juste par la montrer à tout le monde et qu'ils s'inscrivent pour essayer de gagner. On va passer par la tienne, on a noté. Comme tu veux. Okay. Donc Smaïl s'est inscrit le premier, il veut vraiment gagner ce t-shirt.
Si on peut copier le lien et
Donc,
l'afficher.
le lien c'est Raffle.
Si on peut le copier et l'afficher sur un bloc-notes ou.
Ok. Ça.
The first one to type it will leave you.
La partie code. Voilà.
Soumis, wesh.
Voilà, alors c'est raffle, -now, -to, -gray, .now, .s. Zacharia.
It's a typing competition.
Il vous reste 5 secondes.
Vous avez le droit de s'inscrire plusieurs fois pour augmenter votre chance.
2.
Ça marche pas.
Non, si, il marche.
Ah, il manquait un F. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Multiple times. Yeah.
C'est bon tout le monde? Un compte à rebours. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 et 1. C'est bon, on enlève le lien. Ah, tout le monde s'est inscrit. Il y a des doublons même. Hein.
Undefined. C'est l'effet démon.
And the winner is
Oh, we have a winner.
Asben.
Asben.
Oh!
Vous avez vu que j'étais en cravate.
Ah, bravo. Félicitations.
C'est dit, j'ai pas un codeur, lui, on va le mettre en mode identification.
C'est bon, en 3 secondes.
Faut que je le mette dessus?
Non, c'est pas.
Merci beaucoup.
Alors, merci beaucoup. On passe aux questions rapidement ou bien.
Si vous avez des questions,
Vous avez des
par rapport
questions
au-
rapidement, vite fait. Et par la suite, on passe au buffet. Il n'y a pas de questions.
Ah, la petite buffet.
Faut poser les questions là.
Ok, alors on va passer au buffet. On peut échanger, poser des questions, ce que vous voulez. On est tous disponibles. Alors merci beaucoup pour votre. Oui.
Yeah, before we go to eat, so we will organize upcoming workshops. If anyone is interested to learn more about React, Gatsby, Node.js, etc., you can personally come to me and I'll take notes, etc.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup à vous. C'était un plaisir. C'était vraiment un grand plaisir. Et comme Ismaël a dit, on fait des workshops, des formations. Vous pouvez visiter mathémacademy.com. Vous trouverez toutes les informations possibles. Et restez cool, restez zen, codez bien et merci beaucoup. Au revoir.